Hello and welcome to the Covert Nerd Podcast. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate the time that you give me. Today's episode is a little different. I had the fantastic opportunity to sit down with Eddie, who is a co-host of many podcasts, the Daydream Instruction Manual, Make Eternia Great Again podcast, Falcon Punch Thunder Dads, and Paranormal Dads. And I'll include a link in the show notes for all the different podcasts that he's involved in. He's a great guy, and the reason why he is a great guy is because the way he acts and talks on mic is the same way that he acts and talks off mic. He's very genuine. He's a great local podcaster, and we had a fun time just sitting around and talking about the morality of some of the fiction that we ingest, whether it's movies, comic books, or books. What do we learn from those items that we apply to our lives? And so it was just a great opportunity to sit down with him. So let's dive right in and nerd it up with Eddie Fosler.
I apologize for the sound of my neighbor mowing his lawn.
That's okay.
Are we kidding right now?
Yeah.
Come on, dude. It is a nice day, though. So.
Yeah, you better get it done, but at the same time, it might be covered in snow tomorrow.
Well, I mean, so we were just kind of touching base on what the thrust of us talking today is going to be about.
Yeah.
But the idea being is like there's specific stories that became bigger than what they are to me, because not so much because of what happened in that story, but because of the lesson learned from it. So that's kind of what I wanted to focus on today for the most part. If you're cool with that. If that's
that's awesome.
Is that what you got from my message?
When you mentioned the Back to the Future, I thought that another aspect of it was the fact that his dad also learned how to stand up for himself.
Yes.
But then the overall arching theme of all the trilogy, in fact, that's what Christopher Lloyd kind of said on the third one, your future isn't written yet, but also the fact that your decisions have lasting consequences.
Yes.
Some for good, some for bad, but we don't really know where that's going to go, because I'm sure you've had things happen in your life and like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Or what would have been like if I would have done X?
Or you've had things that seem catastrophic, and then you look back 2 years later and you see how it actually put you in a proper direction.
Exactly. Or the theory that you've probably heard this statistic that 98% or 95% of the things you worry about either don't happen, or it's not as bad as it ends up being not as bad as what you thought it would be.
Right.
But yet we worry about...
Yeah. Well, someone's telling me, it was like, and I got better at this. I'm not better. I'm not over it yet. But the idea being like, when you worry about a thing, now you've got two problems.
And worrying about worrying.
Yeah. So it's like, what? I need to quit doing that.
So we talked about Back to the Future was one that you were really impacted by. Are there some other either movies or books, comic books that really impacted you? Wow, this is a big life lesson.
Yeah. So for me, like growing up and to give a little bit of backstory for people who don't know maybe my backstory, a lot of the stuff was kind of like hands off. My mom was very kind of put off by a lot of this stuff. A lot of depictions of violence or extreme kind of weird in her mind. She didn't want me kind of partaking of this stuff. So for me, I had to get it in tiny pieces, little stolen glimpses here and there. And so over time, even if you're just kind of paying attention kind of loosely, you can kind of start filling in the gaps and seeing where things are. For me, and then over time, she kind of relented. She's like, oh, okay, how bad it is. How bad is it for... She
gave up the fight.
She gave up the fight. She would confiscate my G.I. Joe's guns, though. All my G.I. Joes, no guns.
Knives?
All fist fights. Knives were okay.
Okay.
For some reason, guns were like a big no-go for her. The knives, swords were okay. I think so much swords were okay. I don't remember a ton of knives. Oh, no, knives were a no-go. Because I got like a Tarzan jungle knife. It was like a plastic knife for my birthday. And then when all the guests, like a friend gave it to me, and then when all the guests left, she took it away. She took it away, chopped it to pieces.
Wow.
But
oh well.
So you asked what else stood out to me specifically, and this is where it is kind of a trite, I guess, but for all of us, the notion of X-Men, this group of people who felt different, who stood out for whatever reason. For me as a kid, moving the way I did a lot, I felt like I was constantly stood out. Okay. You get into what else was one that jumped out to me. Batman was hard because his story is so tragic. As a kid, you can only abstractly kind of do that. Like, man, what if my parents...
billionaire that lost his parents.
Right. not a lot of relation going on there.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what.
Other than the fact he didn't have superpowers. Well, other than he was rich.
Yeah.
According to Ben Affleck. So.
Exactly. That's his only power. And granted, this is also hard to relate to, but Optimus Prime in the 1986 animated Superior movie, in my mind.
Now, don't let Michael Bay hear that.
I know, right? He knows it. He lays awake at night staring into the sky like, I know it, I'm garbage. Optimus Prime, spoiler alert, sacrifices himself for the good of his entire group and for arguably the universe. Up until that time, as a little kid at least, I wasn't even 10 yet, I was 9. The notion of somebody or something that you identified so closely with making a decision that puts them in harm's way, and I don't want to take away from kids who did experience it. I'm sure there's lots of kids growing up who lost a parent in that same way, who were like, dude, you did it with Optimus Prime. I have a real... But as a kid, for me, without having had experienced that firsthand, just the notion that this was up there, I had a strong emotional reaction to that. Not so much he's dead, but like why he's dead.
Yeah.
And the brutality, frankly, in which they killed that guy off. He was beaten to death. It wasn't even like he didn't get shot and it was over with. I mean, it was like a knockdown, drag out.
Sure.
Slugfest.
Jeff and I talked about this in the previous episode because that was one of my picks for best 80s movie.
Really? Good job. High five on that one.
The whole movie itself was just brutal.
Yeah,
and
it was.
We right out of the bat, Megatron busts the door down and just starts shooting
Autobots.
Not Hot Rod, but several of the key characters.
He shot Ratchet and he shot Ironhide.
Gone.
Dead.
Mainstays of Gen 1, gone within the first 5 minutes.
Was he your favorite, kids? I'm sorry. Sorry.
And then the guy is begging at his feet and it just blows a hole in his head.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
That whole movie, like we talked about, like Jeff was saying, it's like killing my mom.
Yeah.
The whole trauma.
Yeah. It's almost kind of sadomasochistic. They were like, these kids love these guys, so we'll really kill them.
My previous episode, I posted the original script to it. It was way more brutal. They wanted to kill off even more characters.
Oh, I'm sure.
Even more brutal fashion than what they did.
Probably had Bumblebee getting torn in half. Why not?
Yeah. Teared all his limbs off. And Yay. Rodimus is the one.
Oh, gosh. Don't get me... Rodimus. Should have been Cup over Rodimus. But that thing just sat in my guts. And as I got older, those types of stories, and this is where this idea, it still sits with me to this day. Lessons that I've learned, and this is not an indictment on parents, but and we talked about this too, or it's been mentioned in other podcasts. The dads that we are different than the dads that we had. My dad was not involved in anything that I liked. I don't think he could have named anything that I liked. And so for me, growing up, there was a little bit of a disconnect between I would hit these formative things, and instead of my father or the relationship with my dad informing that thing, it was the fiction. One of the big ones for me was the notion for Alex Rogan in The Last Starfighter, where he has this crushing self-doubt because he didn't get accepted to the college that he applied to. He was living in a trailer park that his mom owned, but it was a dead-end little New Mexico town, and he didn't want to be there anymore. That was the big underlying theme. He was a young man on the cusp of his future who felt weighed down already. And that resonated with me strongly in high school. As a little boy, I didn't have those complex emotions, but as a 17-year-old me, I very much did. And I didn't have the vocabulary nor the relationship with my dad to communicate this. Hey, Dad, I'm feeling kind of uncertain about my future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not an indictment on him, but that's just what it was. And so for me, the fiction of The Last Starfighter, not so much all the aliens and spaceships. Those are all kind of allegorical in the grand scheme of things.
They're the fun.
Right, they're the fun. But the character growth that he went through by putting himself in positions that he wouldn't have otherwise, whether by force or by just kind of going like, what else am I going to do? and the growth that happened because of that. And I get it, it's a story, but I think good stories inform our lives in ways that allow us to say, why not me?
Yeah.
And so things like that for me, even as a 41-year-old man now, like I will legit still like mentally and even emotionally revisit as kind of fuel. You know what? Why not? And so that's one of the big ones for me, is like not so much Last Starfighter, but just the notion that some
Concept.
of these stories are awesome, no doubt. He-Man. I mean, He-Man on its surface is ridiculous.
Well, doesn't everybody walk around with a fur diaper?
Where's your fur diaper, Lee?
Oh, I forgot it.
I got a green tiger in the garage.
Oh, okay. Let's hop on.
Let's do it. He may kill us. And I said, as silly as they seem, and you can kind of pick your flavor, because you could argue, well, Superman does that. Whatever. The thing is, the message behind that was something that felt empowering as a kid. It was like, hey, listen, if I see a thing that I'm not cool with, or a thing that I want to make part of my life, I need to trust in my ability and my quote unquote strength, my power, to be able to go after that thing, or to go after that person. Hey, I want Lee to be my new friend. I'm going to go over there and say hi, and not take the easy way out and just not say anything. So it's one of those things that even as an adult grown person, I still visit. I wouldn't say daily, but I mean, I don't probably go a week without thinking about a fictional situation that would be like, and not so much what would Alex Rogan do, but you know what? What did someone say about stories and myth? It's like, it's our way to kind of cope with a seemingly cruel universe.
Sure. And you have those, for example, going back to, I think, Batman you mentioned, there are a few things that you learn from that. There's certain lines I just won't cross.
Yes.
I just, like for him, I won't kill.
Right.
I'll do everything else.
Yeah.
Put you in a body bag for 6 months.
I'll beat you into consciousness coma. Yeah. No, exactly. Like the notion of a code. And as a kid, you understood the whole thing. Like my mom and dad said, I can't do that, But I think a 7-year-old doesn't so much question his center. He doesn't ask why. He just knows he can't. Mm-hmm. As you get older and your life and the situations you find yourself in become more complex.
Yeah.
It's like, those nuanced things make sense. And the notion of this is what Lee does and this is what Lee doesn't do, that becomes more apparent. And I think when you have a fictional character that you can identify with a little bit better than say, I mean, pick an ancient story that's told as an example. I mean, I remember as a kid, the abstract story of Noah's Ark being told to me, like, this is what happened. And I'm like, I can't relate to this on any level. I understand that there's concepts in here, and the argument could be put back, well, you relate with a robot that turns into a semi, like, but no, because here's where it gets funny, and it is, I think, as basic as this. I think robots are cool. I know what a semi looks like. It occupies my time and space. When I see that, I know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's like when you start talking about things that are so beyond, especially children. I think as you become an adult, some of those older stories that are meant to teach a lesson, you're able to abstract them easier and digest them. Oh, okay, I get it. I get where we're going here. Okay, Job, everything got taken away, and he's really sad.
Yeah.
I mean,
I lost everything.
As an adult, I think some of us have either had that happen or we've come very close to that happening. And you can see it looming like, oh, this is the end.
Yeah.
And so those things, I think, as an adult, are able to kind of do a thing. But I think modern fiction, or at least current, like
recent.
Art. Yeah, what's the word? Contemporary.
There we go.
Yeah, hey! We're well read. Allows us to kind of digest that a little bit easier, you know?
I agree. I think another lesson from, for example, I like Lord of the Rings. The books, the movies, whatnot.
Oh, dude, yes.
My daughter likes them too. In fact, we had a joke. We were watching Lord of the Rings special edition, and my wife piped up, "What's the special edition? What's so good about that?" And we're just like, "Oh wow!" Push up my glasses and say, "Let me tell you."
Sit down, get comfortable.
But the concept in there about this ring corrupting the person that holds it, and you have to let go of what is corrupting you, and it may be hard, and some of us may not, like in Golem's case or Frodo's case, where he couldn't really do it at the end necessarily. It was difficult.
Yep.
But that whole concept of some things in our lives you just have to let go because they're ruining us. And if you don't, it's going to ruin you.
Yeah. That's funny because, and Lord of the Rings is an excellent example of a story that would be, I think, more difficult for a young child to digest. Those are pretty complex scenarios and emotions, especially the one, and oh man.
There's many in there, but that's one.
So many. I mean, and on its surface, I think I would say almost a 10-year-old could watch the Peter Jackson films and pull some morality out of that. Like, he's doing what needs to be done. I'll tell you what, man. And the books and all this stuff exists as its own thing, so I get it. Like, we enjoy this thing or these types of stories the way that they were kind of presented to us
as movies.
Yeah, like I read The Hobbit as a kid and I enjoyed it. I really did. I mean, but it's The Hobbit. It's kind of written for young readers.
Yeah, that's what it was intended for. Is for his kids.
Yeah. I took a stab at Lord of the Rings when I was a freshman in high school. I couldn't do it. I felt this social pressure to read it, but I couldn't appreciate it. It wasn't until I'd seen the first movie that I was like, I want to read this book now. And I went and just read the whole book. It's cover to cover and loved it. But I think I had the emotional and life experience to be able to relate to some of this stuff. The scene in the movie when everybody's just bickering over the ring. Who's going to do this? Why? I don't trust you. You're garbage. All this stuff. And then amidst that chaos, the most unlikely of people says, I'll do it. Yes. And I'm sitting here like, that is such a heavy lesson here.
Yes.
And that notion of sometimes you're the guy. Sometimes you're just the guy. You have to be the person to do this. Why? Because you are.
Right after that scene, Gandalf just lets out a sigh of relief because he knows he's going to have to, and Gandalf in general he's kind of like that parent that lets their kid burn their hand. Yeah. Just so you got to learn. Yeah. And you're not going to learn unless you get hurt. Yeah. And he's kind of that old parent and you could tell he was just relieved in that. Yeah, he's like, I can't make you do it, but I want you to do it. I hope you'll catch what I'm throwing down. Yeah. And to me, what really got me, and I was very cognizant to not read the book. I wanted the movies to kind of be my first hit, and then I would read the next book after it to see how it compared to the movie. So I went in to see Return of the King, having had only read The Two Towers. Okay. So I was ready, I didn't know. I kind of could see, what's going to happen. Not knowing, and I'm a grown man at this point, but not knowing that essentially it's Sam that drags Frodo up the side of Mount Doom. Literally. And I'm sitting here like, this is such a poignant story for humans. Sometimes at the very end, it's your friend. It's your brother. It's somebody else who helps you with that last little push along the way. Yeah, maybe you got it 90%, but it's that last 10% that's God, it's your friends, it's some other energy is pushing you because you've taken it as far as you can. Oh, dude. Only so far. Just tore my heart out. I never read the books until I was in college. Yeah. Before I saw the movies, and I was addicted. I have the card game way back in the 90s, and then I read the Silmarillion, which is another excellent. That's a hard read, though, isn't it? It is. Have you read it? I started. I could never get into it. It's excellent. I'll have to give you. Now, I read it with there's a guide. There's a guide that comes with it with all the names. I have an encyclopedia that has all the names in it. So I was just reading it, and then who's they talking about? You are in it. Yes, but it is. I think it's better than Lord of the Rings, in my opinion. It gives you the whole backstory. Wow. It has Sauron in there, but it also has his master, Morgoth, and that's where all the pieces start falling into place, and you're like, oh, I remember that was in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. One of the rings that Aragorn has on was made by one of his ancient relatives, or not his, one of the elves' relatives way back that made the Palantirs. You remember the Seeing Stones? Yep. There's a character in there called Fëanor who made those, that he made the ring too, and was passed down to generations. And if you also read in there, you find out that Aragorn and Arwen are actually cousins. Oh! Extremely distant. Okay. But they're cousins. So he technically married his cousin. Oh, man. 10 times removed, but,
You know, I mean, they were in the middle of a war. There was a lot of stress on them. I can't blame him too much. But that's a great. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned Lord of the Rings. That is an excellent example of what I'm talking about. And people would say like, "Well, where's the moral tale now?" You know, but for me, that's to me what really jumps out as resonant storytelling. You carry it with you. I mean, you said you're addicted. Like, you have these things not just because it's awesome. It is awesome, but it also means something to you. It strikes that chord inside of you. You know?
Yeah.
Oh man,
there's so many stories in that one. The Saruman is the story of what could have been.
Yeah.
If he would have not.
He's a
fallen hero.
Yeah, basically.
It's like what a huge story. Even Sauron, if you read the Silmarillion, talks about at one point after his master is defeated, for a while there he begged for mercy from one of the generals and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to return from my evil ways."
Yeah.
But he says, "It's not my place to forgive you. You're going to have to go to the gods, the Valar is what they're called."
Yeah.
And some say, even in the story he says, some say that he actually wasn't feigning that he was repentant. He actually did repent. But then the more he thought about it, like, I don't want to. I know what's going to happen to me, so I'm just going to stick over here on the evil side because I don't want to face the consequences of what I've done.
Yeah.
And so that's a whole concept.
Another concept thing of how far have you gone before you've gone too far.
Yeah,
like,
have you hit rock bottom?
There is no redemption.
You've kind of just said, I've hit the point of no redemption. It's in Star Wars Return of the Jedi, it's too late for me.
Yes. Oh, see? That's my thing. Is like, and this is where I'm going to come off maybe a little goad kickery.
Oh, yeah, but it's okay. Carl's awesome.
I feel like the stuff that has legs, the things that we call classics, those are the things, that's what they have. Mm-hmm. They have this element of, they pull a chunk, a piece of humanity, and it's in the story. There's something that you can carry around with it. And that's why, like Star Wars, Star Trek, I think the argument is silly because they both have humanity woven into their storylines. Mm-hmm. You know, they're just different ways of telling a story.
Kind of the same way to tell, or different way to tell the same story.
Correct. You're right. I mean, well, it's the classic thing. Like, all the stories have been told, all the, you know, but. And this is where I'm going to sound like I'm just like, I'm going to gain some vitriol probably. But I feel like some of the newer stuff, and it's not because it's new. Please, there's things that I love that were new that, I don't know if anyone listens to the Make Eternia Great Again podcast.
You should. I'll put a note in the show links.
Thanks, buddy. Guest Lee Bachma had reiterated this with me. Avatar, The Last Airbender. Have you seen that with your family?
Yeah.
That show,
kids love it.
If you're not weeping at the end of it, then something's wrong with you.
You have ice in your veins.
Yes, yeah, exactly. and so just because it's new, I'm not saying it's devoid of this, but there's some stuff that's been kind of hoisted out there that's where I come off as a little bit like the old man saying it off my lawn.
The grumpy old neighbor.
Yeah, and I will pick on one, and I know it's not going to be a surprise to a lot of people because they've heard me kind of critique this one. But like Ready Player One is one of those things to me that it's an example of someone not understanding what I was getting at. Like, Back to the Future isn't cool because of the DeLorean.
No.
It isn't even cool because of Marty and Doc. It's cool, like what you said, because of the concepts of that, the relationships at play between Marty and his dad, Marty and his mom, Doc and his and Clara, and it's the story, not the thing,
not the thing in the story. It's
right.
The story, overarching story,
right?
And the future hasn't been written yet, and your decisions have consequences.
Exactly. And slapping a DeLorean into something and being like, yeah, Back to the Future. Woo!
I've read the book. I don't know if you've read the Ready Player One book.
I've listened to the audiobook, read by Will Wheaton. And I wanted to jump off of a bridge.
He reads it so well, though. But
he reads it well. Don't get me wrong.
But yeah, I mean, it is basically a giant pop culture dump.
It is.
Just we're throwing, which... I kind of liked it because of all the memories. Oh yeah, I remember doing that.
And I won't begrudge anybody that liked it. I was just like, at the end I was asking, where's the heart?
Yeah.
That's my big thing.
It was just pop culture dump. We're just going to drop every D&D reference and
it felt like
Atari
eating a
reference.
bunch of candy. It felt like just eating a bowl of candy.
Yes, it's like getting home at the end of Halloween and you just got all of this and you just don't know where to start.
There's nothing wrong with some candy, but I just don't want that to be the meal. And that's kind of how I walked away feeling like from specifically that. And I know it's not the only example of it, but
there's a reason why. Are we going to be reading Ready Player One in 40 years?
That's my point.
Compared to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. And not everything can be Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I get it. But
but it doesn't have to be. But
for me to want to, as a 41-year-old man, have He-Man figures in my corner of my home studio here, I'm not gonna. And there may be a kid who decides to have a bunch of Ready Player One stuff in his room 25 years from now. I'm gonna say that's highly unlikely. I'll be honest.
Gentleman's bet on that.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Like I will never make fun of a cover band or like a band that chooses to do a cover of a song. Like Weezer did a version of Africa, which is apparently really fun, and I've listened to it and it is fun. I would never say, well, don't listen to that, Lou. Listen to the original. That's the better one.
The original is the best.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but what I would say is a cover is an acknowledgement and an homage to the original, and the original will be that because that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Flatter. What is the saying? If
imitation is
the best form of sincerest form of flattery.
Exactly. And so I get it, man. He-Man was inspired by Conan, and Conan's inspired by basically like every barbarian pulp thing you could dream up.
Again, that's another one. Conan's stories are still going.
Yeah.
They have that something that just resonates with everybody.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's probably as popular as Lord of the Rings, but still, it's still talked about.
Yeah, I mean, this is not like a hidden fact, right? Like Dungeons and Dragons was heavily influenced by Lord of the Rings, correct?
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of where it all kind of
a lot of
was
it,
born from.
Some of it, some of the concepts.
And not saying, but like, and then arguably D&D spawned a whole ton of other, things derived from that or inspired by it down the line.
Sure. It's that attachment we have to those things. I was thinking about another movie, Toy Story, the whole series, the 3 movies there that at the end, and this kind of goes back to the other, if you didn't get a little misty-eyed or cried at Toy Story 3, again, you have ice in your blood.
You're broken.
You're probably, something's wrong.
We should call a counselor for you.
Yes, because that ending is just, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But he kind of does that one last, I'm going to play with my toys one last time. Mm-hmm. You're never really too old. He's 18 and he's playing with his action figures, dolls, whatever you want to call them. And but he still knows enough that like the overarching theme is there's a time to grow up, but there's still a little time to play with your toys.
I love it. That film series is a great example of that too, and not to go off on a Pixar rant, but like that, if you look at a lot of their storytelling over some of the other like the animation, when that wave now it just is what it is. Like you don't even ask anymore. Is the movie CG or hand drawn? I remember back when that was first kind of coming out, people would draw that distinction. Pun intended, draw. But now you don't even ask.
No.
Ask anybody, like in the pantheon of CGI animation, who stands out as number one. Most people would probably say Pixar still.
By far.
And it's not because of their technical skills, which are arguably really great. It's the story. Again, it's that piece of humanity woven into the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Everybody can relate, just like I think, again, the overarching themes of, like we talked about, Lord of the Rings, Back to the Future. They all have just that thread going through it of whatever they're trying to tell.
Except for Cars. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know anybody who was like, oh, Lightning McQueen. No.
Yeah.
It was a fun movie.
It was a fun movie. Yeah, I agree. Maybe not quite as deep as
Toy Story 3.
Or any of the Toy Stories for that matter.
Oh, man.
But
those were masterfully done.
Yeah. Well, Steve Jobs had a lot to do with the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read his biography.
In story or in the technology part of it?
A little bit of both. But the story, he had some, if his book, Walter Isaacson did his biography.
Okay.
And it talks about in there, they were pitching some of the script to him.
Yeah.
And he had a big influence on the first one, quite a bit, on some of the script and the storytelling, because I guess originally they had it written where Woody was even a bigger jerk than what he was. And even Steve Jobs was saying he's a jerk.
Steve Jobs, known for being kind of abrasive himself.
It's kind of like calling the kettle black.
I know, right?
Yeah, and I kept it PG, but he said a lot stronger words than that about it. And so I thought that was interesting. But yeah, he had a lot, I wouldn't say a lot, but some influence on the story.
Yeah, those stood out to me. So my favorite still is Monsters Inc. I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
Both of them fantastic.
I'm still waiting for the real sequel. Like Monsters Inc. Monsters University was cute.
Yeah.
But like my wife will pitch a Monsters Inc. sequel that will make you weep. She talked about like the adult Boo. She has a whole thing like Boo's an adult, and she has a kid, and Sully comes in. I was like, stop it! You're gonna make me. Oh, so
we need to get her in front of Pixar.
I know, right?
Or you guys can do the audio version.
What does it have? That's not a bad idea. What does it take to get this made? But that was a lot of my, especially as a younger man, and for me, and I guess this is a little peek under the hood of Eddie. For me to feel like I care about something, it has to move me. There's things that I remember as a kid that were just quote unquote awesome, and they were awesome. Don't get me wrong, or they were cool. But like muscle figures. Like I don't have a deep like. I see them and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Cool. I love them. But I wouldn't get emotional about them.
Sure, you wouldn't, like your Motu figures, like those I have, Optimus Prime, whatever, I have an attachment.
Right. There's a story
behind it.
Mm-hmm. And there's a deeper layer of motivation and meaning. And, there's different, I mean, that's kind of how life is. There's all sorts of like spectrums to things. And I get that. So I shouldn't be looking at like a mad ball and demanding that it be meaningful to me.
Yeah.
Or a Garbage Pail Kid, which I never really liked those anyway.
Yeah.
I just was like, oh, that's really not fun.
Yeah, that's a card.
But as I've gotten older, especially, what I've noticed is the ones that I keep going back to.
Yes.
Either pull from a specific point in my life where I either shared that moment with a friend or a parent or a family member, or the underlying message was so powerful to me that it was formative.
What keeps you coming back? Because I did an episode where I talked about that. What are the things that you keep going back to? Maybe you put down your Motu figures for a little while.
Yeah.
But then what do I come back to? And then maybe put them down again, but I keep coming back.
Yeah.
What are the things that keep bringing you back? And then if you start thinking about it more, it's because of this story, because of the 86 movie or whatever it was. Or maybe I played this game with my friends and it has a lot of meaning to me because it's enticing because of that, or the gameplay was good. What keeps bringing you back?
What brings
is it nostalgia?
It's funny. Yeah. It's funny because I spent some time trying to figure that out, especially once we moved into this house right now, because for me, moving was just a part of my life. For the first half of my existence on this planet, for the first 20 years of my life, I moved every 2.5, 3 years. You didn't really have a chance to stop to consider, especially, and I don't know how many kids do this anyway. When you're 17, sit back and wonder about what your motivations for things are. You just you're more responding to them than you are analyzing them. I remember the word nostalgia has been beaten to death. The best way I can describe it is more kind of painting a picture. We moved a lot, and there was this house we had in Virginia where I lived for a while. And it was this great house. It was this brick house. It had trees in the backyard. It was in the middle of the city. It wasn't but it was just this nice little pocket neighborhood. As a kid, that was where I first got introduced to He-Man. I want to say it was 1984 or 85.
Okay, you were pretty early then.
Yeah. And we had a garden in the backyard, and I remember, and I was a pretty thoughtful kid. I spent a lot of time in my own head, and I remember being outside, and it was late summer. School hadn't kicked in yet, and I had just finished watching a He-Man episode, and I went outside, and my mom was picking cherry tomatoes in our garden, and she had rinsed them off, and they were in a little colander, and I picked up a handful and was just kind of popping them in my mouth and eating them. So I love them. And And I remember sitting back and sitting on the deck, or it was like a little concrete patio, and looking at the sunset. And it was beautiful. It was this purple sky. It was a beautiful late summer sunset. And it looked very Eternian. You know what I mean? And I talk about this stuff. And the combination of the optimism of that cartoon, the positivity of that story, the emotional connection between my mom, and not just that singular moment, but that window of time.
Kind of a perfect storm.
Yeah. Just cemented its, and basically, like, I didn't know. I remember it was one of my earliest thoughts of, I wonder what I'll be like when I'm older. Like, I remember thinking that as a little kid.
How old were you?
I was like 8 or 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's very early.
I was a pretty deep kid.
Yeah. Yeah, evidently.
And I remember wondering, conjecturing about my future and stuff like that, and seeing things like that were very positive. And the 80s was a kind of a positive time.
Oh, it was very optimistic.
Yeah, you can do it. That was like the underlying feeling. And I was heavily bullied as a kid. So I think, we won't get into it. But the point is, offsetting that bullying with the optimism that I felt from the other things of my life created this kind of like excitement, because I was like, it's not going to be like this forever. You know what I mean?
You captured that moment.
Exactly. And so to me, if I had to sit down in a nutshell and say, what does things like He-Man or The Last Starfighter, what those things mean to me is like, kind of like what you're saying about Back to the Future. It's not written yet. Like, if you want to do a thing or have something be in your life, it can be. If you want to create an amazing podcast called Covert Nerd and put it out there, you can. There's nothing really holding you back except for you.
You're right.
And that's what I took out of Back to the Future as well. It was the scene between him and his girlfriend, how he was second guessing his band.
Yeah.
And she said, "You guys are really good. You should really put some energy behind this." And to hear him shoot it down right out of the gate was a little like, I wonder, he's his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And then seeing them audition, I was like, they're clearly a great band.
Yeah.
They're too darn loud.
You're just too darn loud.
But the point was,
I don't think I can take that kind of rejection.
Exactly. Like, why would you sweep your own leg? To quote Karate Kid.
Yeah, sweep the leg.
But like certainly there's going to be a lot of people who are going to either be have no opinion or even maybe work against you. Why do that to yourself?
Yeah.
And so those types of things, I think that you combine the overall positivity of the 80s with those types of stories, with that part of my life where I was at right then and there. For me, it was like this magical, crackly time. Like that's, if you were to ask me what was the most magical time in your life, just year-wise, it was probably between 1984 and 1987. Okay. Those three specific, and I think maybe even psychologists say, like, what, for me, that was between the ages of like, 84. I would have been 7 and 10.
7 to 10.
Yeah.
Formative years.
Yeah. So maybe it's partly that too. I don't know.
Could be. But you just know that some of these things, Transformers, Motu, other things, that was just a big part of the message you were getting. From those fictional characters, more than, say, over here, the religion side of it just resonated.
And not to bag on that at all. No. For me, it was mostly like, if you ask me flat out, and I think if you ask any kid, even today, what makes more sense to you? Does
Avatar: The Last Airbender,
right? Does Ash from Pokemon make more sense to you than, in his relationship with his monster friends, than this story that I'm trying to get you to understand from a religious perspective? Like, which one makes more sense?
My daughter she does cosplay. She's going to NebraskaCon, and she has 2, but one of them is Katara. Is it Tara?
Is it from Last Airbender?
Yeah.
It's a Katara.
Katara, there we go. Katara. She's going as Katara as one of the days.
Yes.
And because she was, when did that come out? About 10 years ago, 8 years ago. And so she's 17. So 9.
Yeah, perfect
9,
age.
10.
I wonder if partially it isn't the age.
Oh, I think so.
I forget where I read this, but it was a thing saying, like, there's an age in which children believe in magic still, but they start to second guess it.
Question
it creates this weird little like nexus in their brain of possibility. Like it might be real, it might not be real. I don't know.
Santa might be real.
It might be mom and dad. I don't know. but the big, maybe it's the age. I don't know.
Probably could be. You are kind of at that age. You are kind of migrating out of mom and dad are telling me everything, but now I'm starting to get influenced by my friends at school or my friends that I hang out with in the neighborhood.
Yep.
And is everything they're telling me true? Things like that.
Yeah, I think ego, your notion of like confidence or lack of it or whatever starts to kind of become a thing. Like as a kid, I don't think 3 or 4 year olds self-doubt.
No.
I don't think they have that. But I think when you're 7, 8, 9, I think maybe that begins to creep in a little bit. You've heard criticisms or you've witnessed it or had it leveled at you, and I don't know. This is where we're but this is where the fiction comes in, right?
Yes.
Like and
it influences us whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And the stories the morality, I guess, if will, you gather from them is there, whether you want it to be there or not. Back up, you mentioned X-Men.
Yes.
Now, were you a fan of the comic book, the cartoon, or what are some things, I guess?
X-Men was a tough one for me.
Okay.
Because my mom, I think X-Men came out right at the height or right during like the civil rights movement, the comic.
Oh, the comic. Okay.
Yeah. And my mom wasn't big, and I keep referencing my mom because she was a powerful force in my upbringing in the beginning. My dad was in the Navy, so he was gone quite a bit. And for her, I think she either didn't really understand it or it looked off-putting enough to her that she's like, you're not going to be reading any of these. So I barely got my hands on an X-Men comic to save my life.
Okay.
My first introduction to the X-Men was the cartoon.
Yeah, 92, I think it came out.
Early 90s. And I was aware of different characters. And early to late middle school, so this would have been like the early or late 80s, I saw a comic that featured Wolverine where he had essentially disemboweled himself. He like jammed his claws into his chest cavity and just kind of opened himself up.
Oh wow.
And I remember seeing that, and my exposure to comics had been limited, but was like Superman and some barely in this like Spider-Man. I had a ton of Star Trek comics.
Okay.
Because my mom was all about Star Trek. She was like, it's a positive future. People are getting along. Violence is kind of frowned upon, except if you're Kirk. You punch
everybody.
Exactly. You're getting punched. But so I had a lot of Star Trek comics, but none of the like superhero-y style stuff. So my first real exposure to like Wolverine was that image of him like gutting himself. And I'm like, man, what's up with him? Why are you so mad, bro? But the cartoon
got anger issues.
Oh, that right. But my first exposure, not first, but some of my first exposure was through the cartoon, and it was so interesting and so nuanced. And the notion, and they didn't just lay it out there, but they kind of touched on it, how they were just like us. They wanted to be treated just like quote,
wanted to be normal,
average people, but they had these things that made them not be able to coexist, or they got made fun of or whatever. And so, I mean, they were speaking my language at that point. I'm like, oh, I know what that's like. And I'm not like a persecuted individual, but as a kid, I mean, like we were talking about in the 80s, I had a bonkers haircut. My mom cut my hair. I had thick glasses. I did not know how to dress. And my mom she bought all of our clothes at the Salvation Army. So I looked like I was in the late 60s in my school pictures because all the clothes were 10 years behind.
We're in the 70s.
Oh, so bad. And so all those are outer trappings. I get it. But nobody bothered to get to know me for who I was as a little.
They're just like, that's that goofy kid that keeps moving.
He's a nerdy guy and he's new. So you got the nerdy guy and he's a new kid. And oh my gosh. And so the point is, the outsider thing was certainly something that I could understand. And I was a military kid. And a lot of those towns, the military wasn't really a presence. In upstate New York, where I spent a lot of time growing up too, my dad was in the Navy and that was kind of an anomaly. And so it was like, well, I don't get that. Point is, that storyline, that kind of, as a theme, did I dial in on a specific character that I identified with more than the others? It sounds silly because I was a kid, so I didn't really put a lot of thought into it, but it was like Cyclops jumped out to me because he had to wear a visor and I had to wear glasses.
Okay.
And I was like, and my glasses just defined me. I mean, this was the 80s, kids. It sucked. It sounds so stupid to say it out loud, but I had these gigantic, thick glasses because they were the cheap ones.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that lens thinning technology yet.
So you look like a pair of bottles.
They reduced my eyes to like the size of M&Ms,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And so these glasses defined who I was.
Yeah.
And I remember I went out and played intramural, like we had like baseball, and I was actually quite good. I had a propensity towards being able to hit and run and all that stuff. I remember I did that and people were like shocked. And I remember being upset. Like, why would you be shocked? Because a guy wears glasses means he can't hit a ball? That's ridiculous. But
wow.
But that was the time.
Sure,
Like people,
sure.
you got summed up quickly, and the kids of then were way less evolved than the kids of today. I think bullying still happens. But I think it seems like the prevailing thought is like live and let live for the most part. But the point being, Cyclops, I think, jumped out to me the most. Like, I got you. I know what it's like.
I know what it's like to have this thing on my head all the time.
This thing on my face that I don't want.
And you just want to be normal. I think that the X-Men, the overarching theme is we just want to be normal and accepted. If we're different, okay, but we're humans just like you.
I didn't even mind being ignored. Like, I was like, just leave me alone. But not even that was an option. I do remember when I was able to finally like get a job and buy contact lenses
and your own clothes.
Oh, dude, yeah. I was like, I am never going back to the glasses wearing. Now I do because my eyes get tired, but I don't get bullied as much.
I collected the X-Men pretty early on, so I had the comic books and liked it. They just resonated. And now anytime I see the comic book, of course, you probably do the same thing. You start thinking of the theme song from the cartoon. 'Cause everybody knows it. It's so catchy. All the songs, the theme songs, it seems like from that time period. Not that they don't now, but it really...
No, I agree.
It sticks in your head.
Talk about an amazing intro, too. Dynamic. Like this, boom, boom.
The ship's flying over it. You got everybody blasting everybody. You got the bad guys on one side and the good guys, and they clash together.
The story felt, and I liked, and the movies did this well too. So my exposure to them was basically the cartoon and the movies, and I loved the relationship between Magneto and Xavier.
Yes,
because it felt believable.
It did. Yeah, they're friends, but they just have such opposing views.
Yeah. I was like, man, I get that. Like, there's people that you want to get along with, but just can't.
Yeah, that whole tension between Magneto and him was like, I want to love you, but you're just not going in the direction I want to go.
It's so crazy. And that's really adult.
Oh, yeah.
So what was it about X-Men that jumped out to you so much as a younger...
I like the art was good. So that was back in the day when, Liefeld did some of it, but I think the first
with
one...
his feet.
Well, Jim Lee. I'm sorry, Jim Lee. Jim Lee. Yeah, but Jim Lee. So the first one I got... My son is trying to be an artist, and that's the first thing. I was like, you need to learn how to draw pouches. Have Rob Liefeld teach you how.
You can never have enough.
You never have enough pouches. But Jim Lee, so the first comic I got of X-Men was X-Men #1 when they did the reboot. So you had X-Men #1. Of course, you want to go back. And the art was good. And the storyline was good. I think you just had, again, this conflict between the X-Men wanting to be accepted by society and everybody, the regular, quote unquote, regular people aren't accepting it.
Yeah.
And just the dynamics between all of the team and in a team.
Yeah.
I like that team concept. Seems to resonate with a lot of people. We all want to be on a team. We all want to be part of the Goonies. We all want to be part of the X-Men. We all want to be part of whatever team dynamic that is.
Yeah.
Just the everyday struggle, trying to get along with everybody, and Extinction Agenda was a summer storyline that they did, I think in the 88 or 89. I liked that one. That one was a pretty good one, so definitely check that one out. I don't know if you've read it, but I really liked it. I just, for whatever reason, I glommed onto them versus some other people. Like Superman never really caught my attention, but X-Men, for whatever reason, did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how that does that, isn't it? Like, something about that catches you and you're like, oh.
You have this whole gallery of characters, and like you said, I resonate with Cyclops, and I thought I liked Gambit was a cool character. I thought
a lot of people, yeah,
it's hard to tell who your favorite. I like Wolverine.
Was there any like identifying, like you felt certain things that you understood about that character, or was it more like you just found certain attributes like attractive? In a sense?
I think probably back to what we were talking about, that Magneto and Xavier friction.
Yeah,
I guess really appealed to me. I'm like, just the idea of we want to be friends, but we just can't.
Yeah.
We got apart, and just that conflict. They grew up together, and just the whole dynamic between those two, and how Magneto's over here gathering his forces, and Xavier's kind of over here gathering these forces, and just that whole dynamic I thought was cool. And plus, you have so many characters, you have so many different power sets.
Yeah.
That just there's a lot going on.
You're not going to get bored.
No, everything's going on.
It's funny you mentioned friction, because that's one thing I did notice about X-Men as well. And in a weird way, actually, Mutant Turtles. There was this, and specifically for me, the first movie. Like, the cartoon was the cartoon, but I remember for me, the movie was really the thing for me.
I love that. I watched that.
Oh, dude, I watch it now.
I begged my dad to take me again after and I was pretty old by then. I think it was 16 or 15.
Came out in 1990.
Yeah, so I would have been 16 at the time, and I still thought, it was very dark, but just very the friction. Maybe I don't know if you're thinking of the friction between Raphael and Leonardo.
That's exactly where I was going with that. Yeah, look at that. That's amazing. Great minds.
Yes.
I was like, it's funny because the team thing was a big kind of cornerstone of a lot of storytelling, I think, but it seemed like it was really prevalent in the 80s too. And a lot of it became like identity stuff, like, you're the tech guy, I'm this guy, and I'm the leader. And it was kind of like, I don't know. And I like that Turtles played with that, because there was this tension between Raphael and Leo, and the same thing with X-Men, where I felt like there was this tension between
Cyclops and Wolverine.
Exactly. Even in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Like,
and they both like Jean.
Yep.
And they both want to be leaders.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was neat.
Yeah.
And as a kid, once again, almost a little bit too sophisticated almost for you to really truly I've experienced this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as a young man, I remember having those types of situations, those interactions where you're with a group of otherwise they're friends, but then all of a sudden there's this weird kind of like trigger point, and either there's a question on who has kind of like leadership role, and there may even be a little bit of a romance thing going on, and two people like the same person, and it's like, this can't persist. So it's funny how those things, when they hit you when you're 13, are kind of like, that must be weird. And then you fast forward 7-8 years, and you're kind of having to like look, oh man, I can relate to this.
In that Turtles movie, when Splinter is saying, all sons love, or all fathers love their sons.
Yes.
When you're 17, like whatever. But now as a parent, you're like, that gets you a little misty eyed. I remember I watched it a couple of years ago. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's.
I'll tell you what. So you talk about Superman, and so this is where, like, for me, it did resonate quite a bit. Primarily the movie, the
first one,
the first Christopher Reeve. Superman. Because that was my first as a kid. That's my first introduction to Superman was the movie. Came out, I think, in 1977 or so. Yeah. 78, maybe
something like that.
So I was a baby then, but so I saw it. I want to say it was about 1984, 85. Once again, those magical times.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw Superman, and I wasn't quite, a little bit bullied, I guess, kind of left out of the thing, but the notion of being amongst people but not feeling like part of them. As a kid that moved all the time, okay, I'm there. I know what that feels like. And then as an adult man, I'm watching this. Not fun. This is a little macabre. Fact about me, my mom passed away when I was 19.
Okay.
And so watching that film as a grown man, the scene between his dad dying when he was a teenager resonated with me again.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go again when Jor-El says the classic line, the father becomes the son and the son becomes the father. I was like,
oh, wow.
Holy crap. As a kid,
didn't catch it.
Didn't even know what that meant. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
As an adult now, with my oldest being, and you have grown children,
yep,
that hits hard.
Yes.
Like, and seeing my wife's and my family and become increasingly more dependent and needing the help of their children. And ultimately, my wife's grandparents passed away, and then leaving, the roles switch.
Sure.
And so seeing that play out and referencing that in fiction, huge.
Or the part where they're letting their son put him in the ship and letting him go while they die. Yeah. It's like you got a daughter heading to college soon. You're like, all right, we don't know what's going to happen to you, but we have to let you go.
Yeah. I'm trusting what's going to happen.
Again, as a kid, you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But somebody wrote a book that tells, I think it's Krypton is the name of the book. And he goes into kind of the prequel.
Yes, I know this. I know this because I read this. It's an actual book.
Yes, it's a book.
I know what you're talking about.
They have the TV show, but the Krypton book.
Yeah.
And that one, I listened to the audiobook, and they talk about more of the pain that they're trying, how the planet's going, and we have to figure out how to get off the planet. Nobody's going to help us. And just the author did an excellent job on just building that tension that Jor-El and his wife have of, we got to save ourselves.
I remember this because I listened to the audiobook as well.
And even that kind of hit me. I'm like, wow, there's the love of the parents just trying to save their kid. But and everything in life's just kicking them in the teeth. And
there's been parallels drawn between that story and the story of Moses, putting him in a little basket and floating him down the river. Once again, as a kid, hard for me to wrap my head around, baby in a basket, but you put a baby in a spaceship and you got you got my attention. I'm like,
so maybe they need to redo the story.
Redo the Moses story.
Moses gets put in a rocket ship. His parents are there trying to save him, and you said that. So maybe the churches need to
give him better powers too. Give him better powers. Making it rain frogs,
yeah. Instead of rain frogs, I can freeze a lake and put it over the city and put out the fire.
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly, dude. Rewind time.
Yes, I can fly around the planet and rewind time and name a city Otisville.
Mr. Donner, what is Otisville? Otis. Wasn't it Otisburg?
I thought it was Otisville, but I don't know.
Otisville,
yeah. He's like, what is...
I did love Gene Hackman as... Oh, dude, come on.
You don't get any better than Gene Hackman. They cast that perfectly.
So fun.
I mean, it is a little absurd now that you look back.
It is, but that's why I kind of love it, too.
Superman was kind of absurd, especially they were going back to the 50s and 60s.
Kind of the campy a little bit, which I kind of was happy about.
Sometimes campy's okay.
Flash Gordon's one of my favorites.
Oh, gosh.
Now, Flash Gordon is an excellent example for me. There's no real, horror. I'm not moved to tears with Flash Gordon, but I still have fun with it.
Yeah.
So I get 100% of it. Like, I can't demand everything to break me in half.
Yeah, exactly. I was just noticing this when I read comics usually every day, and one of them is Faith by Valiant. It's really just kind of a fun, campy. There's really no seriousness to it. I like going to that every once in a while. Not everything needs to be dark and gritty and death, and you'll get depressed.
Exactly. Oh, dude.
And so I like Carl's actually the one that turned me on to say, you need to read this. It's pretty good. And I like it. It's just kind of a fun superhero, good versus bad. There's not a lot of blood. It's just very light.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I remember he introduced me to the, what was it? It was Woody and...
Archer, not Archer and Woody, but the two brothers.
Yes. That's kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
It was just fun.
Yeah, it's just fun.
And it did just kind of do that fun interplay between brothers. And it didn't, at least the ones I read, didn't get too not
too serious,
oh, my brother, I hate him. But it was
Woody and Quantum.
Yes, Woody and Quantum. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, really enjoyed that one too.
Yeah. Valiant's got some good stuff.
They do. Isn't there some movies coming out with their stuff?
Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe, but it was just a short.
Oh, okay.
But I've read the comic. Again, I did an episode. I reviewed that one a little bit, and again, it's more. It's kind of bloody, but it's again kind of pretty light. It's not. You can tell it was kind of thrown together just to get all the characters in one room, so to speak, like DC and Marvel kind of do. But it's done in a good way and just kind of a fun way. It's a fun story.
Yeah.
So
and that is one of the things I want to put out there is I'm not demanding everything be epic.
A tearjerker and a moral story and everything. But I think the overarching theme is the things that we hang on to the longest tend to have the thickest thread going through it.
Yep.
Exactly. That you stick to. So
I mean, Star Wars is a good example. There are parts of Star Wars that will move me to tears, just certain, especially with the music. Oh, John Williams,
yeah,
you're a wizard. When we're dealing with more of the larger scope, the larger scale things, especially when I'm talking about the first 3, 4, 5, and 6 for us, when things that you knew were probably going to happen do happen anyway, and the redemption of his dad, I start crying, but. On the same token, and I will defend this, Solo was a fun summer flick.
I need to watch that. I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah. Someone said to me at work, and I don't want to begrudge anyone's opinion of it, but they were like, it wasn't, their critique on it wasn't Star Wars epic, quote unquote.
No. Nothing's going to be.
No. And I'm like, and I don't know if a Solo movie should be.
No.
Like, I was like, it's like a fun heisty.
It's a fun side story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had fun. Like, I mean, the entire movie, my father-in-law and I were like high-fiving each other, and it was just a fun movie. And that was a fun memory too. My father-in-law's kind of, he's getting into these movies now as a retired, he's like 70 now. And so we'll go to these movies and talk about them after the fact. But
that's cool.
Yeah. But so, I mean, even within a share, its own universe, you can have stories that totally have these, like, you have a thicker chord, and you can have something like Solo, which is kind of meant as a Saturday throwaway kind of pulpy fun movie, you know.
Yeah, you need to have just like in life, there's a balance.
Yeah.
You don't need serious all the time, and it doesn't need to have a story every time.
I'll play some classical music sometimes, like legit. I will throw on some like Bach or some actual, like, you know, just some chill piano music that my wife's recommended, and then on the way home I'll fire up some
Metallica,
you know, Toy Dolls or some Green Day or whatever the heck you want to listen to, because that's just what, you know. And within fiction, for me especially, the stuff that is motivating is one thing, but it's also fun to kind of just have a good time.
Exactly.
Totally. Yeah. That's why Batman to me has always been so, I get it, like the different iterations, but like really for us, the 1966 stuff was kind of like, even as kids, we were like, that really isn't my kind of thing. And almost every version of Batman we've had has been intense. You know what I mean?
It's pretty serious.
Yeah. To the point where I'm not sure you can have fun with that character.
Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned that. When I watched the 1989 Batman when it came out, I was like, this is dark.
Yeah, not now.
And now you're like, then you watch it now, you're like, that isn't even close.
No.
You know, the Joker now committed suicide, you know,
right?
Heath Ledger, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was...
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, they're all excellent.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and I mean, some of those, especially the Dark Knight series, oh my gosh, like so well put together.
Sure. And if you've seen, I went to San Diego Comic-Con several years ago.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah. We went 4 years in a row. Woo. We'll have to do an episode. That was a good time. But anyway, I got to see the Red Hood when it first came out.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty violent.
Is it?
And it talks about...
Oh, no, the cartoon, the animated movie? Yeah, I saw that.
Beat with the crowbar.
Dude.
They show it.
Don't they kill Robin?
Yes.
Yeah, with the crowbar.
Yeah, with the crowbar.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, wow. And
dude, DC animated movies are not a joke. They're intense.
They're bloody and violent, and it's, I mean, to each their own.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, they don't put me off. I enjoy them for what they are.
But it was kind of funny. Funny story. The morality there is, my wife was talking about it. We were talking about it, and the premise was he had the Joker cornered in the warehouse, and he was radioing Batman back and said, "Hey," Batman says, "Hey, you wait till I get there before you go after him." But Robin didn't listen, and he gets beat up with a crowbar,
right?
Literally.
Right.
And my wife even said, "She's like, well, I guess the moral of the story there is sometimes adults know what they're talking about, and you need to listen to them."
I know. Think back to you and me though. I don't know how like dutiful you were as a young Lee.
Wow.
I was not.
I was not either.
I was not. I was very much like, that worked for you, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
And the funny part about it is, and I'm kind of experiencing that now. I'm not going to give too much away here, but I'm experiencing a little bit of that now as a dad. And I'm remembering, and my wife's kind of reminding me, she's like, remember when you were a teenager, you did not take the advice of others. And I was like, that's true. And the lessons I walked away with were my lessons.
Sure.
And so I get it. Like, sometimes you got to get hit with the crowbar.
Yeah. There you go. So sometimes in life, you get hit with the crowbar.
Sometimes you get the crowbar.
Yeah.
You know, I remember the funny part about it was a brother of mine. I have a pretty big family, so the gap between me and my younger brothers is pretty big. I'm 18 years older than my youngest brother.
Oh, wow.
And then varying stages between. So, like, one of my younger brothers, I'm 14 years older than. So I'm like dad, brother, uncle.
All wrapped into one.
I'm a brunkle.
Awesome.
And I remember he lived with us for a while, and I was trying to get him to understand a certain thing. Like, man, listen, you got to do this thing. Like, it seems like I'm nitpicking, but I'm not. You have to understand. I think the concept was be where you say you're going to be. Like, if you go to this place, be at that place. If you change your mind, let me know, because if there's a problem, I need to know where you're at to get to you.
Yes.
I'm not controlling you. I just need to know where you're at.
Yeah.
You're dumb. Tell me what to do. Crap and tell me how to live. And then fast forward, our next younger brother is now living with him, and he calls me up, kvetching, and I'm biting my tongue the whole time. Like, this is exactly.
I just told you this.
Yeah, but it's one of those weird moments where I'm sitting here like, I get it.
Yeah,
you just have to. Sometimes you need to eat some crowbar.
Kind of goes, kind of goes back to the Lord of the Rings reference. Gandalf just had to kind of sit there and say, "You're doing it wrong, but I don't want to stop you because you're not going to learn until you get burned, until you get hit with the crowbar."
What's so funny is I remember even with my own kids, like the lesson they get isn't, wait a minute, Dad's trying to save me some pain. All they get is you're trying to prevent them from doing the thing that they want.
Yeah, you're missing out on some fun.
Yeah.
You're just old.
Or you're just trying to influence their decision needlessly. You know, it's like you think you're helping, but you're not.
And you don't want to say, I was like, I've been 17. You haven't been 44.
Right. That's kind of like goes to your thing about, you know, like I know what it's like to be single, but
you don't like to have kids. Yeah.
Every so often we will have like these little fun little meet and greets with some interns at my work. And a couple summers ago, we had some guys working with my team in specific. And I did sit them down, more of like a knowledge share. Like, these are some things I've learned. Here you go, like tips and, you know,
tips and tricks,
pro tips. Yeah. And, but one of my things I gave them was, I go, if you were sitting at your desk and all of a sudden, like an older version of you just shows up, 20 years older, you can tell it's you. And you're like, I've got 2 minutes. I'm from the future. I have to tell you this stuff. Otherwise the time portal closes and I'm gone. Listen, blah, blah, blah. And they give you some information. Then they're gone. Would you listen to that person? And they're like, yeah, I would. I would take what they had to say to heart. You know, if they were like, invest in Apple, listen, you know, and then they go, I go, here's the kicker. I'm that person. I'm the time traveler. I'm 20 years ahead of you guys. All I'm trying to tell you is there's some things you want to be aware of. Do these things. Whatever else, fine. I get it. You're going to tell me but try to bear some of this stuff in mind. And I get it though. Like, I would have told me to shut up. You don't know. Whatever. But I, you know, my point to them was like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you my experience. This is what I've seen play out. And maybe if you want to spare yourself a little bit of a headache, this is something
these are the things you would,
consider this.
No, I agree. I've thought the same thing as like, if I was going to go back and talk to myself when I was 16,
would you? And
I only had 2 minutes to tell you, these are the 2 or 3 things I would have told you. Boom, 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 boom.
I gotta go.
Okay. Whether I would have listened, I don't know, but
it's like the Marty McFly Doc Brown scene.
Yeah, we're back to Back to the Future again.
See, with the full circle where he comes in and he's like, no, it's your kids. We gotta do something about your kids. Like,
exactly.
Oh no, his kids.
Well, Eddie, I probably better go here soon.
No, you're fine.
I could just keep going for another 3 hours.
This is so fun.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
I think we've set up a Covert Nerd part 2 for this.
Oh, yeah, we could.
Well, thank you, man.
I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this. It's been fun, and it's awesome to sit down with the Podfather of the area. I think you need to start talking with an Italian accent and sit in one of those big chairs and
just sit back
and you know, bring me. I need to send out Vito.
I need a favor.
Maybe we can have Jesse do a mock-up of Eddie as the Podfather, and
I won't commission that, but if someone does, that's fine.
That would be awesome. So I appreciate it. We're gonna have to do it again and talk about a different topic or on the same topic. We could just get philosophical all day.
Let's do it.
Cool. Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
It was a great time to sit down with Eddie. I really appreciate him taking the time out of his day to do it, and I hope we can do it again. So please visit covertnerd.net for all the links on how you can contact me and Eddie. You can email me, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, but simply go to covertnerd.net and you can find all the ways to get in touch. I appreciate your time, and thanks for listening.